Hello there, lovely people. It's Alex from Nintendo Life here, and today we're going to be talking about one of those things that can only happen with the internet. Yes, as the title and the thumbnail prove, today we're going to be talking about a thing called Bowsette. What's Bowsette, I hear the one of you ask? Well, here's a refresher. Now, if you're wondering at all where this whole idea comes from, it's not just something that spawned out of nothing, it has spawned out of something that Nintendo have decided to include in New Super Mario Bros. U Ultra Deluxe Super Duper version for the Nintendo Switch. In that game, if you want a slightly easier game mode, you can play as Toadette, and one of the things that Toadette can do is she can get a power-up which is called the Super Crown, and if you grab said Super Crown, Toadette inexplicably transforms into Peachette, which is now a thing. It's an entertaining idea. I don't know what kind of sense it makes logically, and you know, people have been dissecting it and talking about the canon. So is Peach actually a Toad, but sort of grown up, or like a regal version? I think the point is Nintendo doesn't know or care about the Mario canon. It just does stuff. So when Toadette grabs the Super Crown, she turns into Peachette. And that left a lot of people wondering, what happens if other characters grab this Super Crown and use it? One suggestion was put forth by a Malaysian artist on Twitter known as @Haniwa, at least on Twitter. Should we have a look at the comic in question? I think it's better if I just don't say anything. Now, through some unfathomable sort of beautiful cocktail that is the internet, this absolutely exploded, and the whole idea of Bowsette it's out there right now, and it doesn't seem to be going away, and it probably won't do for some time. It started off as a mild curiosity, and a lot of other people, you know, sort of other artists and stuff like that started coming up with their own interpretations or putting Bowsette into different situations and things like that. And then it actually started, it got so huge in Japan, like unimaginably huge in Japan. Some people think it started there, it didn't, it just got big there. So much so that it may have even had an effect on Nintendo's stock prices, because at the time the Bowsette really blew up in Japan, Nintendo's stock, as in Nintendo Company Limited, went up 2 points. That's not a joke. That actually happened. Now, the stock market is a very strange beast, and it is entirely likely that it is pure coincidence. But, you know, brand recognition is a big thing, and maybe Bowsette is making people search for more Nintendo stuff, and that caused it. All I'm saying is it's possible, and that's terrifying. I really wanted to be able to get some Google Trends data to show you, but unfortunately, there isn't really anything. I put Bowsette in and it just said, not enough information, sorry. Apparently Princess Bowser brings up some information, but everyone's calling this supposed character, this theorized character, Bowsette. So that's what I want to go with, to see the actual impact. And right now, well, Google Trends isn't the thing to look at, apparently. As a concept, I actually kind of like Bowsette. I think it's a fun, interesting idea, and it's a little bit strange to get your head around that is Bowser just with a power-up, but you know, it's fun, you know, it's entertaining, and a lot of people are having a lot of fun with it. Some people are taking it to a degree which it's inevitable. They're taking it to a more extreme area. Porn! Which was gonna happen with something like this, it's just unavoidable, but we've got really big Japanese artists, you know, proper manga and anime artists throwing their hat into the ring and getting involved. For some reason, this just seems to have captured the imaginations of people, which is excellent in its own right. It's still a confusing idea and has led to all sorts of questions about how the Super Crown would work with all sorts of characters, but even so, it's fun. And it's pretty cool. Although in preparation for this video, my browsing history will never be clean again. And of course, the big question that everybody's been asking is Nintendo going to make Bowsette canon? Probably not. It's certainly a really entertaining idea to think that Bowser, you know, the Koopa King, this, you know, evil turtle type thing. I know he's a Koopa, a Kappa, one of those Japanese things, the turtle things that jump out of rivers. But the idea that he can use this power-up and end up basically just looking exactly like Princess Peach is... Imagine that in Mario Party. just basically an edgy Peach with all the mannerisms of Bowser. It'd be hilarious. I'd love it. Nintendo are historically very sort of, they don't even comment on stuff like this, but Nintendo has been changing and been getting a lot more involved in the memes over the past few years, especially with the Switch and stuff like that. And even sort of towards the end of the Wii U's life, I think they just wanted more popularity points, and who can blame them? So I don't know whether Bowsette will ever become a thing. I mean, who knows? Who knows? It would be really interesting to see whether, because people will hack it so that Mario could grab the Super Crown. It wouldn't do anything interesting. It'd either just act as a mushroom, crash the game, or Mario would just become Peachette. There wouldn't be any secret, super hidden thing in there. So whilst I don't think Nintendo were going to acknowledge it to the point of actually including it in a game, I don't think it's unlikely that we'll see Nintendo just, you know, even just sort of noticing it, you know, maybe just retweeting or just liking something on Twitter in relation to Bowsette. I think it would be a fun little thing, and Nintendo are being a lot more fun recently, and you can be absolutely... They are obviously aware that this is a thing. They may well be shaking their heads that this is a thing, but they are aware that this is a thing. I imagine pretty much every Nintendo employee will be aware of this right now. So that makes me feel warm. It was bizarre because when I first heard about this, I was at EGX over the weekend, and that's not when it, you know, that was after it blew up properly. And I remember thinking to myself, oh dear, this will be over in a few days, but it hasn't been. It's still going, and it's the most bizarre thing. It just seems to have gone beyond just a standard meme, if you like, to some ludicrous level of popularity. And, you know, I suppose, you know, in that broadest sense, this is a very appealing design and something very edgy and, I'm just going to say it, sexy in the Mario universe is quite juxtaposed. And so, you know, that sort of whole idea, and yet it sort of fits the narrative that Nintendo has created. So I think maybe that's why, maybe, but I am just guessing, to be honest, because I'm not a meme historian. But what a thing it is, and what a phenomenal, inexplicable hold this whole thing has over the internet right now. And I know this is in the broadest sense, and realistically, you know, I'd say a good 90% of the planet, probably 99% of the planet, have no idea who Bowsette is. But at least in the Nintendo circle, certainly taken over the Nintendo circle of the internet by storm. And that's still a beautiful thing, and still a very scary thing. I don't know how much longer it's got left, but right now everybody seems to be celebrating the idea of Bowsette to the point that there was even... Oh, I can't remember off the top of my head. Who was it? I want to credit properly. Oh, it's Gandacris. Oh, I know Gandacris. They're cool. Gandacris made a Bowsette amiibo just by, well, it's just a recolor. They do all sorts of brilliant stuff and loads of custom amiibo, and I think they do fantastic work. So it was only really a matter of time, but this has just been, this just happened. This is a thing now. This is a thing. How long is it gonna last? Honestly, I don't know. It could last another week. It could last a number of months. To be honest, I think we've definitely seen the peak of Bowsette popularity. This is my job. I've just realized this is my job. I'm talking about fan art. About a gender-bent Bowser. I live a very cool life. I suppose all we can do is just enjoy it whilst it lasts, ride that Bowsette wave, and just make the most of it and have some fun. I think some people are a little bit annoyed with it somehow. I don't fully understand why. Maybe it's the porn. But at the end of the day, it doesn't really seem to be hurting anyone, so I say, have fun. Have you been affected by a Bowsette in your neighborhood? Let us know down there in the comments. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, then why don't you put a super crown on that subscribe button and we'll see what happens. And be sure to check out NintendoLife.com for all sorts of lovely Nintendo related content. Thank you again for watching. Bye-bye.
Oh.
Ganderchris made a Peachette. No, not Peachette, bloody hell.